You ever wonder why it seems to hit you the hardest when you're trying to do everything right? You show you care, you push through, but somehow it still falls apart. People leave, opportunities vanish. You're stuck with this quiet pain no one else sees, and you start thinking, maybe I'm the problem. But what if the breakdown wasn't a breakdown at all? What if the pain you're carrying isn't punishment, but set up not by chance, not by failure, but by something bigger, something that knows exactly who you're about to become? And here's the part that'll mess with your head. Most people run from the very thing that's trying to build them. Are you? And here's the part nobody tells you. That very thing you're trying to run from, your heartbreak, your silence, your emotional scars, might be the exact path to your next breakthrough. Most people won't stay long enough in the fire to find out. They quit too soon. They try to heal too fast. But you, if you're still watching this, you're built for more than just survival. You're here to transform. So pause. Don't skip this, because what I'm about to tell you could reframe everything. Stay with me. This could be the moment your healing finally begins. You ever feel like you're living in a fog? You show up to work. You reply to messages. You even laugh sometimes. But inside, you're barely holding it together. You've got this quiet take that never leaves, and it's not just sadness, it's confusion, it's betrayal. It's the weight of trying to stay strong for everyone else when you don't even know how to hold yourself anymore. And the hardest part, no one sees it. You've become so good at smiling through the pain that the world thinks you're fine. They clap for your strength, but no one asks about the scars underneath it. Maybe you gave your all to someone who gave you nothing back. Maybe your dream slipped right through your fingers. Or maybe life just hit you out of nowhere, and you've been bleeding in silence ever since. You keep asking, why me? But what if it's not about blame? What if it's about becoming? See, this is the part no one prepares you for the breaking. Because we live in a culture that celebrates glow-ups and comeback stories, but skips the part where you're crying on your bathroom floor, wondering if you'll ever feel whole again. That's where you are. Not broken, just undone. And I want to be real with you, this place you're in. It sucks. It's heavy. It's lonely. But don't mistake the silence for absence. Just because you can't feel the shift yet doesn't mean it isn't happening. Your soul is doing surgery. Old wounds are surfacing so they can finally be healed. And that takes time. But if you don't sit with it, if you run too fast from what hurts, you'll miss the wisdom hidden inside your suffering. The pain is loud because it's trying to get your attention, to tell you that something in your life isn't aligned, that you've been betraying yourself to keep the peace, that your worth was never supposed to be measured by who stayed, or who clapped, or who saw your value. You were never meant to shrink into someone else's version of love or grind yourself into the ground just to feel worthy. This right here, right now, is your crossroads. Keep numbing or start listening. Keep running or start rising. But first, you've got to get honest about what hurts, about who's hurting you, about the lies you've been telling yourself just to survive. Because healing doesn't start with pretending you're okay. It starts when you finally admit you're not. And from that breaking, a new self begins to rise. Here's the truth they don't teach in school. Sometimes your life has to fall apart so it can finally fall into place. You see, we've been taught that pain is something to avoid. That when your heart breaks or your plans fail, something's gone wrong. But what if that's the lie? What if pain is actually a sign that something's finally going right? That your old self, the one that tolerated less, that ignored intuition, that clung to is dying, also something more honest can take its place. Think about it. What if the people who left you were never meant to stay? What if that job that broke you was just the thing that pushed you toward your real purpose? What if the silence you've been drowning in was actually sacred space carved out by the universe to bring you back to yourself? That kind of insight doesn't show up when everything's going well. It shows up in the dark, in the stillness, in the moments where you think you've been abandoned, but really, you're being refined. You weren't buried. You were planted. Damn, sink in. The pain you're carrying isn't just suffering, it's sacred. Because it's opening you to strength, to clarity, to depth. This is the setup. This is where your spirit learns to see without your eyes. This is where self-worth is no longer based on who claps for you, but on how deeply you've clapped for yourself, even when no one else saw the show. And let's be real, growth is ugly. It's not always a sunrise and journal entries. Sometimes it's stairs. Sometimes it's saying no when your whole body wants to people please. Sometimes it's walking away from someone you love because loving them meant losing you. But it's in that moment when you choose you, when you sit with the discomfort instead of escaping it. That's when the shift happens. That's when the divine steps in and says, now you're ready. Not because you're perfect, but because you're present. Because you finally stopped asking life to be easy and started asking yourself to be real. You are not being punished. You're being positioned for peace, for power, for purpose. And if you can trust that just enough to take the next step, you'll start to see it was never a breakdown. It was a breakthrough in disguise. So now what? You've cried. You've questioned everything. You've stood in the wreckage, waiting for someone to come save you. But no one's coming. And that might be the greatest gift life ever gave you. Because healing doesn't start with someone else loving you right. It starts when you finally decide to stop abandoning yourself. That's the first move, come back to you. Not the polished version, not the one that's always got it together. The raw, tired, beautiful mess of you has been showing up even on days you wanted to disappear. Start with silence. I mean it. Turn off the noise, the scrolling, the overthinking, the distractions, and listen. What do you need right now that you've been ignoring? Maybe it's rest. Maybe it's distance. Maybe it's to finally forgive yourself for not being who you thought you had to be. Then go deeper. What toxic beliefs are still living rent-free in your head? The ones that say you're not enough unless you're productive. The ones that tell you love has to hurt. The ones that whisper your worth depends on someone else's approval. Kick those lies out. Place them with small, sacred acts of alignment. Not perfection, not pressure, that's consistency. Like waking up and telling yourself, I'm not behind dim becoming. Like saying no without guilt. Like trusting that not hearing from them is your peace, not your punishment. And if you want one habit to anchor your healing, start speaking to yourself like someone you love. Every day, because your inner voice, it sets the tone for your entire life. And you can't expect the world to treat you better and you treat yourself. Don't just aim for success, aim for wholeness. You've already survived what was meant to break you. Now it's time to build what was always meant to hold you, self-trust, boundaries, stillness. And here's a quiet truth most people miss. Healing doesn't feel like fireworks. It feels like peace. It feels like no longer needing to explain yourself. It feels like walking away and not looking back. It feels like choosing you again and again until it no longer feels radical, it just feels right. So breathe, let go of the timeline, and trust that even now, even in this mess, you are not being destroyed. You are being designed. You've made it this far because something inside you refuses to give up. That part of you that's still standing, still searching, still hoping it's not weak. It's powerful and it's sacred. But here's the thing, healing is only the beginning. Once you've reclaimed your self-worth, the next step is to protect it with a mindset that no one can shake, not even life itself. And that mindset, that untouchable state of being where you move through chaos without crumbling, where you stop begging for validation, where you become so aligned with your inner power that even your past stops trying to haunt you. It all starts with one choice. If you're ready to build the next level version of yourself, not just healed, but unshakable, then the next step is waiting for you in. The untouchable mindset starts with one choice. You've been through enough. Now it's time to rise with intention. Wisdom Recorder, your knowledge source. Subscribe and like if this message found you right where you needed it.